Ever feel like the MCU's multiverse?
The multiverse.
Is this like incredible
Yeah.
sprawling concept
That
that's
sounds
just
out of reach.
out of reach? We're taking a deep dive today
Okay.
into one of its most
To do it.
intriguing corners, a place where fan theories about Loki,
Loki.
the god of mischief, take on a life of their own.
Yeah, we're going like beyond just the surface of those Loki is so powerful theories,
Right.
looking for clues in some
Interesting places.
unexpected places, like really unexpected.
Yeah.
Specifically, Deadpool and Wolverine
Yeah.
might actually reveal a deeper layer
Okay.
to Loki's power than even like the Loki series lets on.
Okay, and we're basing this all on a Screen Rant article that really like grabbed our attention.
Yeah.
One of the first things it points out is that when you really start to compare
Right.
how the multiverse is portrayed
Yeah.
across all these different MCU projects,
So many.
the rules aren't always so clear-cut.
Right.
For example, the article highlights how Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness shows a consequence for messing with the multiverse,
Yeah.
an incursion
Incursions.
that destroys universes.
The worst.
Right.
Yeah.
However, Spider-Man, No Way Home doesn't mention incursions at all
Oh, interesting.
when Doctor Strange messes with spells,
Right.
despite those actions also impacting the multiverse.
Yeah, it's a great observation, and it really speaks to the challenges of building such a vast and complex concept,
Right.
on screen.
Yeah.
But the article argues that within this seeming inconsistency,
Okay.
Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine actually seem to share a more aligned understanding of the multiverse.
Okay.
And that's where things get really, really interesting, especially regarding Loki's power levels.
Right. So let's talk about the Void.
The void.
In the Loki series, we're introduced to this place where pruned timelines end up.
Right.
It's essentially a cosmic dumping ground, right?
Basically.
Can you unpack the idea of pruning and the Void for our listeners who might not be familiar?
Absolutely. Imagine the multiverse as like a giant tree,
Okay.
with each branch representing a different timeline.
Okay.
When a timeline branches off in a way that the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, those bureaucratic timekeepers, deems too deviant,
Yeah.
they prune it.
Okay.
This pruned timeline, still a whole reality in itself, doesn't just vanish.
Right.
It gets sent to the void.
Interesting.
Think of it like the deleted files folder on your computer.
Okay.
It's still there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
still exists.
Yeah.
But it's been removed from the main system.
Right.
The void is where these discarded realities end up.
Okay, so we've got pruned realities ending up in this void. What does Deadpool and Wolverine have to do with any of this?
This is where the article's deep dive gets fascinating.
Okay.
Deadpool and Wolverine also deals with the concept of the void as a consequence of multiversal shenanigans.
Right.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
In Deadpool and Wolverine,
Yeah.
we learn that the void isn't just an empty dumping ground. It's actually ruled by a terrifying entity known as Cassandra Nova.
And Cassandra Nova is not your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
The article paints her as a force to be reckoned with,
Oh, yeah.
even taking down some major Marvel heroes who end up in the void.
major heroes.
Yeah.
And we aren't talking about D-list heroes here.
Right.
The article specifically mentions Daredevil
Oh, wow.
and Human Torch,
Really?
both incredibly powerful in their own right
Right.
as victims of Cassandra Nova's reign over the void.
Wow.
It really drives home the point that she is a force of nature, capable of wiping the floor with even the most formidable heroes.
Okay, so we've got the Void from Loki.
Yep.
We've got Cassandra Nova, this all-powerful being reigning over it in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
Where does Loki's supposed mega power fit into all of this?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And this is where the article really digs its heels. Despite Cassandra Nova's dominance in the void, again, she's taking out major heroes left and right. The Loki variants we see in the Loki series
Right.
seem curiously unaffected by her.
Yeah.
They move freely. They're not imprisoned or controlled, which the article suggests is a massive clue about Loki's power.
You're saying that for the Loki variants to exist in the void without being immediately squashed by Cassandra Nova,
Squashed.
they must be operating at a power level even she has to respect.
That's the theory the article proposes.
Wow.
And it raises so many questions.
Yeah.
Is this a power inherent to all Loki variants, or is it something they acquire? And if they're this powerful, why haven't they challenged Cassandra Nova's rule? The article suggests their reasons might be more complex than simple domination.
So it's not just about power levels,
Right.
but also motivations
Yes.
and goals.
Exactly.
We're talking about Loki here, after all.
Right.
He's not exactly known for straightforward thinking.
Exactly. Remember, Loki thrives on chaos, on playing the long game, on manipulating situations to his advantage.
Right.
It's entirely possible that existing within the void, even under Cassandra Nova's reign,
Yeah.
serves some grand, unknowable purpose in Loki's mind.
Okay.
Or perhaps each variant has their own approach to the void's dangers, adding another layer of complexity to their power dynamic with Cassandra Nova.
So it's not as simple as like, Loki's stronger, so he's the boss.
Right.
It's about the complexities of their individual goals.
Yes.
And how those might intersect within the void.
Precisely. And this is where the article takes another fascinating turn.
Okay.
It reminds us that by the end of Loki Season 2,
Yeah.
our main Loki variant essentially becomes the glue holding the multiverse together after he helps rewrite the timeline.
Get through.
If that level of power is consistent across Loki variants, as the article suggests it might be,
Right.
it paints a whole new picture of their potential influence within the void.
You're saying a being who can reshape the multiverse probably isn't too worried about some all-powerful entity in a cosmic junk drawer.
It certainly adds weight to the idea that Loki's power, even among his variants,
Right.
shouldn't be underestimated.
Yeah.
We've seen how one Loki can fracture the timeline and reshape reality as we know it.
Right.
Imagine the possibilities and the potential chaos.
Oh, man.
If multiple Loki variants were to exert their influence.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Right.
A multiverse of Lokis, each potentially as powerful as the one who rewrote the timeline. That's a lot to unpack.
The article doesn't dive deep into specifics about other Loki variants,
Right.
but it does acknowledge that if Loki can exist outside of time, manipulating it to his will,
Yeah.
there's really no telling how many versions of him might be out there.
That's both exhilarating and terrifying to think about.
Right.
It's like we get glimpses of Loki's potential in the series.
We do.
But this idea of countless Lokis scattered across the multiverse,
Yeah.
each with their own experiences and maybe even amplified powers,
Right.
that opens up a Pandora's box of possibilities for the MCU.
It begs the question, what kind of impact could a multitude of Lokis have on the multiverse?
Yeah.
Would they work together, their goals aligning towards some grand, mischievous purpose?
Right.
Or would their inherently chaotic natures pit them against each other,
Yeah.
leading to multiversal conflicts on a scale we can barely comprehend?
It's almost too much to wrap your head around.
I know.
But that's what makes this deep dive so captivating.
Right.
We're not just talking about one character's power level.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ripple effects of their choices across the entire multiverse.
By choices, yeah.
It makes you realize that even seemingly insignificant details in one story could have massive implications elsewhere.
Exactly. And it highlights the beauty of the MCU's approach to storytelling.
Right.
It invites us to speculate, to connect the dots, to imagine the possibilities that exist within this vast interconnected narrative.
So, if we're looking at this through the lens of Loki's character arc,
Okay.
his journey from villain to anti-hero to something potentially even more complex,
Right.
does becoming the multiverse's glue, as the article puts it,
Yeah.
reflect his growth?
Yeah.
Or is it just another level of manipulation on a grander scale?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
Throughout his appearances, Loki has always grappled with his identity, his desire for power, often stemming from a need for control, for validation.
Right.
Becoming the linchpin of the multiverse could be seen as the ultimate power grab.
Yeah.
Or, and this is where things get really interesting, it could
Okay.
be interpreted as a form of redemption.
Redemption. You're saying the god of mischief might actually be trying to hold the multiverse together for the greater good.
It's certainly not outside the realm of possibility.
Wow.
Remember, Loki's journey has always been about defying expectations.
Right.
What if, in his own chaotic way,
Yeah.
he's found a purpose beyond mischief?
Okay.
A purpose that aligns with preserving the delicate balance of the multiverse.
Okay, now you're blowing my mind.
Right.
We've gone from Loki as a potential threat to Cassandra Nova to Loki as a possible savior of the multiverse. It's a wild theory, right? But that's the beauty of like exploring these fan theories.
It is.
It allows us to engage with these characters and their complexity
Totally.
in ways we might not have considered before.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that In a multiverse of infinite possibilities, even the most seemingly straightforward character
Right.
can surprise us. This exploration of Loki's power, his potential motivations, and his complex relationship with the Void, as suggested by connections to Deadpool and Wolverine,
Right.
opens up exciting new avenues for speculation about the future of the MCU.
So we've gone from inconsistencies in the multiverse
Right.
to the terrifying presence of Cassandra Nova
Right.
to a potential army of Lokis with their own agendas.
A lot going on.
If we're leaving our listener with one final mind-blowing thought to chew on,
Okay.
what would it be?
Think about this. If Loki's power truly does exceed our expectations, if he can exist outside of time and manipulate it, then what's stopping there from being countless Loki variants scattered across the multiverse, each shaped by different experiences, possessing unique levels of power, and driven by their own individual desires?
Right.
Imagine the chaos,
Yeah, man.
the alliances, the conflicts that could arise from such a scenario.
Yeah.
The possibilities, much like the multiverse itself,
Right.
are truly endless.
Multiverse of Lokis. Some striving for control, some seeking redemption,
Right.
and all leaving their own chaotic mark on the tapestry of reality. It's a thrilling, unpredictable concept that has us eagerly anticipating the next twist in Loki's ever-evolving saga. And who knows, maybe some of these fan theories, these connections we've made today, will turn out to be closer to the truth than we ever imagined.
That's the beauty of it all, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Marvel fans, get ready. 2025 is going to be huge EE. A whole lot of MCU content coming at you. 4 massive films, Daredevil's back, and multiverse mayhem that'll make your head spin. Better strap in, because we're diving right in.
You're not wrong. The release schedule is definitely ramping up. Feels like the calm before the storm,
Yeah.
getting us ready for Phase 6.
Love that. Like we're watching the trailers, getting hyped. Then, bam, main event drops. And speaking of dropping, let's talk release dates. First up, Captain America, Brave New World. Theaters, February 14th. Mark your calendars.
Valentine's Day release, huh? Interesting choice, especially with Harrison Ford joining the party as Thunderbolt Ross. Might even see him go full Red Hulk in this one.
Red Hulk on Valentine's Day. Now that's what I call a plot twist. I'm picturing a box of those heart-shaped chocolates, but they're like gamma-powered fists. Okay, focus. What's next after Cap?
Thunderbolts, May 2nd. And yeah, that asterisk is there for a reason. Marvel's playing it close to the chest with this one. Even Kevin Feige wouldn't crack under pressure.
Ooh, a mystery. You know I can't resist a good puzzle. What are the theories? Don't leave me hanging.
Let's just say there's been a lot of speculation. Shifting team roster. Secret puppet master. We'll dive into those fan theories a little later.
You're killing me, but fine, you've been warned. I will get to the bottom of this asterisk mystery. So, after the potentially Skrull-infested Thunderbolts, we've got the Fantastic Four. First steps, July 25th. Finally, they're here.
The Fantastic Four, officially in the MCU, and they're going cosmic right out of the gate. Galactus and Silver Surfer are going to be the villains.
Talk about a challenge right out of the gate. And I hear rumors about Doctor Doom, too. That's a lot of baddies for one movie, even for the Fantastic Four.
True that, but with Secret Wars on the horizon. Speaking of which, remember Deadpool and Wolverine?
Wait, how does Deadpool and Wolverine tie into Secret Wars?
It's a standalone story, sure, but it introduces some major players. We're talking the Void, that realm where realities go to die, and a certain powerful mutant named Cassandra Nova. She's taken up residence.
Okay, you've got my attention. Cassandra Nova, for those of us who don't have the Marvel Encyclopedia memorized, who is she? Why should I care?
Imagine, right, an Omega-level mutant at the peak of her powers. Except she's a psychic parasite. Warping reality, bending minds, makes Professor X look like a kindergartner. That's Cassandra Nova. And she's in control of the Void now.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty big deal. How does it connect to Secret Wars, though? What does it mean for the future of the MCU?
Now, this is where things get really interesting. See, in the comics, Secret Wars revolves around Battleworld. It's a patchwork planet, right? Made up of pieces of destroyed universes.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
And where do those universes go when they die? The Void.
So you're saying that Cassandra Nova being in charge of the Void, that's connected to how Battleworld comes to be. That's actually genius and terrifying.
Exactly. And if she's the one behind Battleworld, she's on a whole other level. We're talking Thanos-level threat.
Yeah.
Maybe even bigger.
Wow. So Deadpool and Wolverine is not just a silly little rom, huh? But before we go full multiverse theory, we've got one more movie, Blade. November 7th.
With Mahershala Ali in the title role,
Oh,
we're expecting big things.
absolutely. Especially after all the drama behind the scenes with that one. Okay, so that's the big screen. But Marvel's not done yet. Disney Plus is where it's at. Daredevil's back, baby. Daredevil Born Again. March.
And he's bringing everyone with him. This isn't just a reboot, it's a full-on reunion tour. Kingpin, Punisher, Karen Page, Foggy Nelson, even Bullseye. The gang's all here.
Are you serious? This is the best news ever, especially Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin. Their scenes together were electric. Please tell me we get more of that in Born Again.
Oh, you're in luck. Rumor has it they might even be setting up a Kingpin War storyline.
Kingpin. Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
What would that even look like in the MCU?
Imagine a massive street-level war. Heroes and villains from all corners of the MCU. Daredevil's in the thick of it, obviously.
Okay.
But you've got Spider-Man, Punisher, maybe even Echo. And at the center of it all, the Kingpin, pulling the string.
Okay, that's my brain just exploded. So you're saying Daredevil, Born Again, could be the spark that ignites this massive interconnected storyline. Game changer.
Raises the stakes, that's for sure. And speaking of interconnected stories, Ironheart is hitting Disney Plus sometime in 2025, too. Continues Riri Williams' story after Wakanda Forever.
Right. Ironheart, easy to forget with everything else going on, but we're getting a new Iron Man in the MCU, people.
It's true. Ironheart is going to dive into that magic tech crossover,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is becoming a big deal in the MCU lately.
Ooh, good point. Magic and tech, you know what that means.
Doctor Strange is going to need some more aspirin.
Bingo! Although, knowing Strange, he probably has some fancy magical remedy for that. Okay, before we go full Sorcerer Supreme on this, let's circle back to Deadpool and Wolverine. You mentioned cameos, right? Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. That was amazing, obviously. But it felt kinda.
Self-contained.
Any other cameos we should have our eyes on? Ones that might mean bigger things down the line?
One word. Elektra.
Wait a minute. Jennifer Garner. Elektra. Elektra. As in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. I thought we decided that wasn't canon anymore.
Guess Marvel found a way to work it in. Multiverse and all.
Multiverse explains everything. So Garner's back as Elektra. Why is this cameo a bigger deal than Wolverine?
It's all about the details. She shows up for like a second, right? But she's wearing a very particular costume, her assassin outfit from the comics.
Yeah.
Never wore it in the movies before.
So new look. Who cares? What's it mean?
In the comics, Assassin Elektra. That's her after intense training. A total shift in mindset. She's a weapon for hire now. But with a code. Like she's got rules.
Intriguing. But how does Assassin Elektra fit into everything else we're talking about?
Timing, right? Deadpool and Wolverine. That's all happening before Daredevil. Born Again. Plus she's got history with Kingpin. Starting to connect the dots.
Hold on. So you're saying she could be involved in this whole Kingpin War thing, working with Daredevil. Or against him.
$1,000,000 question, isn't it? Marvel loves to keep us guessing. Maybe it's just a fun nod for the fans, or it's the start of something huge for Elektra in the MCU.
The suspense is too much. Speaking of suspense, what about Thunderbolts? You can't just drop that cryptic asterisk and not give us something.
All right. The main theory going around, it's about who's really in control of this team. That asterisk has everyone thinking, is there a secret puppet master calling the shots?
I knew it. We've got Bucky on the team, right? You'd think he'd be the leader, what, with his history and all, but maybe not.
Exactly. And that leads us to suspect number 1, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's been up to something since Falcon and the Winter Soldier, recruiting these morally gray characters. Like Walker, the new Captain America.
Yeah.
You're U.S. agent.
Oh, yeah, she's got that whole powerful figure lurking in the shadows vibe down pat. But why Thunderbolts? Why this team specifically?
Think about it. She plays the long game, right? The Thunderbolts. They're her power play. A bunch of superpowered individuals, some with scores to settle, recipe for disaster, or a brilliant manipulation.
Oh, I can already picture the double crosses, the hidden agendas. It's like Suicide Squad, but with more brooding and like government paperwork.
Exactly. Oh, but there's another theory about that asterisk. This one's a doozy.
Hit me with it.
Some fans think that asterisk, it means there's a Skrull on the team.
Whoa, slow down. Skrull. As in shape-shifting aliens from Secret Invasion. Okay, now things are getting real.
Right. Post-Secret Invasion. Trust. Gone.
What if someone on the Thunderbolts isn't who they say they are, waiting for the perfect moment to make their move? Talk about paranoia.
And wouldn't be the first time Marvel's pulled a Skrull switcheroo on us. This is why I love these deep dives. Started with a simple asterisk. Now we've got alien infiltrators and shadowy puppet masters.
Always more to uncover, right? But let's switch gears back to the Fantastic Four. We've got Galactus, Silver Surfer. You really think they'll cram Doctor Doom in there too? Isn't that a bit much?
It's tough, right? On the one hand, Doctor Doom cameo. Yes, please. Especially with Secret Wars on the horizon. But you don't want to overshadow the Fantastic Four's grand entrance into the MCU, you know?
Agreed. Delicate balance. They got to introduce the team, they're dynamic. Plus, maybe hint at bigger things to come, but you can't just throw everything at the wall and hope it sticks.
True, true. But if anyone can pull it off, it's Marvel. You know, this whole conversation about Secret Wars, the multiverse, got me thinking. Remember Cassandra Nova? The Void. Of course. You're not going to try and tie that into the Fantastic Four, are you?
What if I am? What if everything Cassandra Nova's doing in the Void? What if that has consequences for the Fantastic Four, puts them on a collision course with not just Galactus, but reality itself?
Okay, now that's an interesting thought. It would definitely connect Deadpool and Wolverine, Fantastic Four, and Secret Wars in a big way.
Exactly. Shows that even in these seemingly standalone adventures, they have ripple effects across the multiverse. I'm calling it right now, Cassandra Nova, she's the new Thanos. Lurking in the shadows, pulling strings, setting up a conflict that could destroy everything.
I do love your enthusiasm. And who knows, maybe you're right. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've still got a lot to cover, like the return of a certain man without fear.
Okay, back to Daredevil. We talked about Kingpin and his crew coming back, but what about the other Defenders? Any chance we see them pop up in Born Again?
Could happen. Nothing's official yet, but this Kingpin War thing, that could draw in other street-level heroes. And don't forget, Echo sets up Kingpin's return, right? That's later this year. A lot of story left to tell there.
Yeah, true. Speaking of stories, we can't forget Spider-Man. Beyond the Spider-Verse, it got pushed back, but hopefully we'll see it in 2025. What's going down in this final chapter of the Miles Morales saga?
Okay, so it picks up right where Across the Spider-Verse left off. Miles is trapped by his own evil Quinn, basically, and Gwen Stacy. She's putting together a rescue team. We're talking a full-on Spider-Verse showdown here. Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Punk, Spider-Man India, even Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman.
Wow, that's a whole lot of Spider people. Makes me wonder, though, could we ever see Miles Morales in live action? Think he's got what it takes to make the jump?
Absolutely. He's already a legacy character in his own universe, right?
Yeah.
And with the multiverse doing its thing, anything is possible. Imagine the possibilities. A live-action Miles Morales meeting Tom Holland's Spider-Man, maybe even mentoring a new generation of heroes.
Okay, stop. My brain can only handle so much. I'm picturing a whole team of Spider-Men and women just swinging through the city. Amazing. But let's get back to the here and now. We've covered a ton today. But before we wrap up, any last words of wisdom? What should we be paying attention to as we get closer to 2025?
Keep an eye on the power dynamics. That's the key. The MCU's changing, new heroes, old heroes taking on new roles. These 2025 releases, they're going to set the stage for everything that comes next.
Great point. We're not just talking about movies and shows here. We're talking about the future of the MCU. It's like a chess game. Every move matters.
Exactly. And with so many power players on the board, Captain America, Daredevil, even Cassandra Nova, the stakes have never been higher.
Well said. So everyone listening, get those watch lists prepped, because 2025 is going to be a wild ride. We'll be back soon to break it all down even further as we get closer to release dates. It's got a theory, and it is wild. Like, it could rewrite the entire multiverse saga. You know, that big overarching storyline that the MCU have been building towards, with all the parallel universes and all that.
It all starts with this major plot twist, and it's happening off screen. Jonathan Majors, the actor who played Kang, he is out of the MCU.
Oh, yeah. Now, that is a game changer. They were really setting him up as, like, the next Thanos-level threat after we saw him in Loki. You know, with that whole Kang Dynasty storyline looming out there.
Yeah.
But now, well, this article says that the Fantastic Four, first steps, that might just flip the script, especially with all the rumors about who the main villain of that film might be.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, it's the sheer scale of this theory. I mean, imagine a being so powerful that it consumes entire planets as fuel. We were talking about Galactus, and he is rumored to be the big bad in the Fantastic Four. First steps.
Okay. I'm picking up what you are putting down here. This isn't just some dude in a metal suit. This is a cosmic level threat making his grand entrance into the MCU. But how does this tie into Jonathan Majors' departure and this whole Kang situation?
Well, the article suggests that Galactus' first act in the MCU.
Yes.
It's going to be wiping out the Council of Kangs. You remember that group of Kang variants we saw at the end of Quantumania. All vying for control of the multiverse. gone. Just like that.
Hold on. Are we talking about the entire Council of Kangs wiped out in one fell swoop? Wouldn't that be a little, I don't know, anticlimactic? I mean, we were just getting geared up for this whole Kang Dynasty showdown.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, having Galactus just obliterate the Council of Kangs, that would be a statement, instantly establishing him as the top dog in the villain hierarchy. But then again, it does feel a little sudden.
Right. It's like, oh, never mind Kang and his whole multiversal dominance thing. Here's a guy who eats planets for breakfast.
Exactly. And Marvel hasn't officially confirmed anything about the Council of Kang's fate. So they could still be out there lurking in the shadows. Or they could be cosmic dust, courtesy of Galactus.
So we've got this potential power vacuum in the villain department. Kang's out, Galactus is in. But this is the MCU. We can't have just one big bad, right?
You know what they say? 2 villains are always better than 1. And there's this juicy rumor going around that Robert Downey Jr. might be coming back to the MCU. And no, not as the Iron Man we all know and love.
No way. Seriously. Don't play with my emotions like that. Is he coming back as a reformed Thanos here to apologize for the blip? What's the deal?
This rumor is saying he'll be playing Dr. Doom. And get this, the Screen Rant article says he might even make his grand re-entrance as early as the Fantastic Four. First steps.
Now we're talking. Dr. Doom, that's a Fantastic Four legend. Plus, didn't he cause quite a stir in those older Fantastic Four films? I seem to recall some pretty epic battles.
He did indeed. He's been their archenemy in the comics for decades. And the article suggests that a post-credit scene cameo, that would be a very on-brand MCU move, setting the stage for Avengers. Doomsday.
Whoa. Doomsday. You mean the movie that was originally going to be Kang Dynasty? So instead of one big bad, we might be getting a double feature.
Yeah.
Galactus and Dr. Doom. That's a serious power move.
It's a bold move, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, Dr. Doom is actually a pretty perfect fit for that multiversal big bad role that Kang was seemingly, primed for. He's got the history, the ambition, the sheer force of will to shake things up on a cosmic scale.
And don't forget about that magic touch. Oh, and let's not forget about his connections to technology and alternate realities. It's like they took everything that made Kang a compelling villain and just cranked it up to 11 with Dr. Doom. But wouldn't that undermine everything that's happened before, especially in Loki?
That's the big question, isn't it? The article points this out. This is a risk for Marvel, no doubt about it. They're essentially hitting the reset button on a major storyline.
And we are just along for the ride. Wondering if this is going to be like a brilliant twist or a massive misfire. I mean, if Galactus just shows up and casually wipes out the Council of Kangs off screen, is that really going to feel earned? What do you think?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, it's a bold move. It would instantly establish Galactus as a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it could feel rushed, like they're trying to sweep the whole Kang storyline under the rug.
Right. It's like, oh, remember that whole Kang Dynasty thing? Yeah, never mind. Galactus is here now.
Yeah.
Oh, I can already picture the memes.
Yeah, but here's where it gets interesting. What if, instead of just erasing Kang from existence, Marvel uses this as an opportunity to create an even bigger and more complex narrative?
Okay. I'm listening. What are we talking about here?
Okay, so imagine this. Galactus arrives in the MCU, but not just as a planet eater, but as a disruptor, a force of chaos. He just throws the entire multiverse into disarray. He's not just a threat to individual worlds, but to the very fabric of reality as we know it. And maybe, just maybe, his arrival is what throws Kang off his game. It disrupts his plans and ultimately leads to his downfall.
Okay, I see where you were going with this. So Kang isn't necessarily gone. He's just sidelined. Maybe he's off somewhere trying to figure out how to deal with this cosmic curveball that Galactus just threw at him.
Precisely. And let's not forget about Dr. Doom in all of this. He thrives on chaos. He is a master manipulator who could easily use this situation to his advantage, playing both sides against each other for his own gain.
So we could have Galactus wreaking havoc on a cosmic level, Kang scrambling to regain control of the multiverse, and Dr. Doom lurking in the shadows, pulling strings and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That's not a multiverse saga. That's a multi-course meal of villainy.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I'm starting to see the method behind the madness here.
And that's what makes this so fascinating. We are at a pivotal moment in the MCU, a crossroads. One chapter is potentially closing and a new one is about to begin. It's a gamble to be sure, but one with the potential for an incredible payoff.
Okay, you have officially got me hooked. But let's shift gears for a second. We've talked about what this means for the villains, but what about the heroes? What about us? The fans who have invested so much time and emotion into these characters and their stories? What does it all mean for us?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is something that the article touches on. It's something that I'm sure is on the minds of many MCU fans right now.
Because it's one thing to introduce a new villain, but it's another thing entirely to sideline a character like Kang, who is being positioned as the next big bad. I mean, does that diminish the impact of his previous appearances? Does it make Loki's sacrifice feel less meaningful?
Those are tough questions. And there's no easy answer. I mean, on the one hand, it's totally understandable for fans to feel a sense of whiplash, especially after all the buildup surrounding Kang. But on the other hand, this could be a chance for Marvel to tell an even more compelling and unpredictable story, one that keeps us guessing, keeps us on the edge of our seats.
I am all for unpredictable storytelling, but there's a fine line between subverting expectations and straight up undermining your own narrative. I just hope Marvel knows what they are doing.
Well, that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? We don't know what's going to happen. We get to speculate, we get to debate, and we get to be surprised.
You are right about that. So how does this whole situation with Kang, Galactus, and Doctor Doom, how does it change the game for the future of the MCU? What kind of impact are we talking about here?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, this could potentially be a seismic shift for the entire franchise.
Let's break it down. What are the biggest implications here? What should we be paying attention to as this unfolds?
Well, for starters, it raises the stakes to an entirely new level. We are not just talking about individual worlds or timelines being threatened anymore. We are talking about the potential collapse of the multiverse as we know it.
And that means that the heroes are going to need to step up their game, big time. If Galactus can just waltz in and wipe out an entire council of Kangs without breaking a sweat, then what hope do the Avengers have? It's a whole new league?
Yeah. And with Doctor Doom maybe pulling strings in the background, yeah, the Avengers are going to have their work cut out for them. This isn't just about punching your way out of trouble anymore. It's about strategy, alliances, maybe even making some impossible choices.
And you know what's really interesting to me is how this whole potential shift, it might impact the power dynamics in the MCU. I mean, if the heroes are facing threats on this multiversal scale, they are going to have to become even more powerful, more resourceful, to even stand a chance.
Which begs the question, will it be enough? I mean, we have already lost some heavy hitters.
Okay.
Iron Man, Black Widow. Are we about to see the MCU as we know it just crumble? I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's what makes this whole situation so captivating.
Right. We are on the precipice of something huge here, something that could redefine the entire landscape of the MCU.
It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. It kind of reminds me of when Thanos snapped his fingers and half of life in the universe just vanished. I was floored. It took me weeks to process that whole emotional roller coaster that Marvel took us on. And now with Galactus and Doctor Doom and the fate of the multiverse hanging in the balance, well, it feels like we're in for another wild ride.
It's a testament to the power of storytelling.
Wow.
Marvel has created a universe that feels expansive and intimate at the same time, where the actions of these characters, they have real weight, real consequences.
And that's why this screen rant theory, whether it turns out to be true or not, it has sparked so much discussion and debate among fans. It gets at what we love about the MCU, that constant sense of surprise, the what-ifs, and just knowing that anything is possible. Yeah, it's a reminder that the MCU is a living, breathing entity. It evolves, it adapts, and it keeps us guessing.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, there's one final thought I want to leave you with, something that wasn't explicitly addressed in the Screen Rant article. What if the destruction of the Council of Kangs, what if it isn't even shown on screen? What if it's only hinted at, through whispered rumors and fearful tales? That would leave a massive power vacuum in the multiverse, one that a master manipulator like Doctor Doom would be all too eager to exploit.
Chills.
Right.
Literally chills. Talk about a power move. I mean, that would instantly establish the new pecking order in the multiverse.
Yeah.
And would leave audiences on the edge of their seats, wondering, how could our heroes possibly contend with a threat of that magnitude?
Exactly. It would be a bold move for Marvel, but one that could pay off in spades if they do it right.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I am even more invested in the future of the MCU after unpacking all of this.
Oh, as am I. It's times like these I'm reminded why we do what we do. There is nothing quite like exploring these uncharted territories of storytelling, dissecting these theories, and just letting our imaginations run wild.
You said it. So to all of you listeners out there, keep your eyes peeled and your minds open. The MCU is about to get a whole lot more interesting. Until next time, keep diving deep.